The smallest member of Air Canada's fleet versus one 6'8" flight reviewer. What have I done? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex, and welcome to this unique trip report. Today, I'm in the small city of Lethbridge in southern Alberta, where I'll be flying back home to Calgary. Today's flight is Air Canada Express Flight 7218, operated by Air Georgian on their Beechcraft 1900D. With 18 seats on these aircraft, this is the smallest member of Air Canada's fleet. More on that a bit later. Here's the check-in area, which is clearly in the middle of a revamp on the Air Canada side. Lethbridge has a fairly small terminal, but it's pretty much exactly what you would expect for an airport of this size, where it only has one destination. Also, here is a wide variety of vending machines with no food whatsoever. Security in Lethbridge is pretty different from what I'm used to. The doors through the checkpoint don't open until an hour before the flight leaves, which makes sense when there's 5 or 6 flights a day. Once through security, this is pretty much it. More seats, a couple TVs, and another almighty vending machine. It is just a bit windy right now, 40 knots gusting to 51 knots out of the west. Should be a fun ride. Here's my aircraft arriving from Calgary, a 21-year-old Beechcraft 1900D, registered as Charlie Golf Hotel Golf Alpha, operated by Air Georgian under the Air Canada Express banner, or lack thereof. A few months ago, Air Canada announced that they would be suspending their contract with Air Georgian in favor of flying larger Dash 8 aircraft with a reduced frequency into smaller cities like Lethbridge. What you're seeing here was all filmed in early April, and seeing as the last Air Georgian Beechcraft flight was earlier this week, I thought now was a fitting time to share this experience. Several 1900s are still flying for Air Canada Express in the Maritimes, but operated by EVAS Air instead. There were only about 10 people on today's flight, and boarding started by calling for all zones at once. It's not like they mattered here. Here's my seat for this 45-minute flight, 2A. If you've watched me for a while now, you know I'm 6'8", so legroom is more of an issue for me than most. However, I've got to say it's not too bad. These aircraft are in a 1-1 configuration, so every seat is an aisle seat. The aisle armrests are also adjustable, which was much appreciated as the seats were a bit narrow. There are no window shades on this aircraft. Instead, each window has a strange sepia tint to them. No headrests either, obviously, but there is a small air vent.
Alright, welcome aboard Air Canada Express service to Calgary. We're going to be on our way here shortly, and we will play passenger safety briefing for you in English and French. You'll find a briefing card like this in the seat back pocket in front of you to follow along. There's 4 exits on board the aircraft. They're located mid-cabin, row 6 on the left and the right side, over the right wing at row 4, and then the door you came through here in the front, which I'll explain to you in a moment. And from start to shutdown, you're usually looking about 50-55 minutes. It is a little breezy out there, so you can expect a bit of bumps as we do the takeoff. Apparently though, when we do get to altitude, it is a little bit smoother and should be a pretty good ride. Hope you enjoy your flight while you're sitting down. Do ask that you keep your seatbelts fastened. Hope you enjoy the flight, and we'll see you again in Calgary.
If you watch my videos on a regular basis, you know that I much prefer to film handheld instead of slapping a GoPro on a window and doing nothing else. However, since GoPros have a wider angle lens and given just how windy it is, I think you'll appreciate this much more watchable footage. I did like being able to see the flight deck on our taxi out, but as we lined up, they closed the partition. Sad times. Here's our departure from Lethbridge, taking off from runway 23. Now that we're airborne, let's take a look at the minimal contents of the seat back pocket. Included is an air sickness bag and a safety card. The tray table is also fixed and doesn't slide, but is surprisingly at a good height. There's obviously no flight attendant or snack service, so your choice of food or drink is strictly limited to whatever you can bring through security. Since every seat is essentially an aisle seat, I had lots of room for my legs, after asking my neighbors first, of course. There was also a surprising amount of headroom. One thing I will point out is that when you sit right next to the engines, there is a lot of vibration, which makes sense. Aside from that, not a whole lot to do but admire the landscape of southern Alberta. Thanks to the weather, we retreated to a runway 29 arrival into YYC. Thanks. You too. Since this flight was so short, there's not a whole lot to comment on, but honestly, it was fun. It's such a different flying experience than what you're used to flying in a larger aircraft, and it really was kind of special. There's sort of a small town feeling flying with only 9 other people, and there were quite a few laughs exchanged about my legroom situation. I will miss seeing the Beechcrafts here in Calgary, but I am glad I had the chance to fly one. As usual, thank you very much for watching and for your support. I do hope you enjoyed this special trip report on the smallest member of Air Canada's fleet. If you did, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Safe travels, and I'll see you next time.